So we're still at the tail end of Hurricane Debbie, about to leave the hospital and head back towards home. The other video this morning was at night with a little bit more rain than there is right now, and it did okay, but when it came to the exit gate of the neighborhood with a speed bump in front of it, it more or less slammed on the brakes to come to a stop rather late. It didn't hit the gate or the speed bump at speed, but less than 20 or 30 feet away, it hit the brakes and stopped rather violently. The only other problem with that ride is that it was going to drive right past the entrance to the hospital, even though it was clearly shown on the GPS where the turn occurred. It did not go into the right turn lane. It did not attempt to turn from the second lane. There was no traffic blocking the way. It just drove right past. So I had to deactivate in time to make the turn manually. So those are both regressions that did not occur on the previous version, though admittedly the previous version, 12.5.1, wasn't out very long before 12.5.1.1, which is this one, came out. Given this was only about a week after the previous update, there obviously didn't appear to be a lot of time for testing this version, so maybe this is really an alpha test version and not a beta test version. In any case, I'll go ahead and activate the FSD now as I'm stopped at the traffic light, and let's see how it does coming back into the neighborhood with the barricade that has been an issue in previous versions. It's just light rain now, occasional gusty wind. Maybe you can see that on the camera. The hurricane force winds are right now a little bit to the east-southeast of Tallahassee. Stronger winds really at Valdosta, Georgia, last time I checked about an hour ago. But even then, the Valdosta airport was only reporting about 40 knots for winds. It says full self-driving may be degraded, poor weather detected. A little bit of blowing rain during the peak gusts here in South Kissimmee. I noted earlier that in spite of detecting the poor weather, this doesn't really adjust the maximum speed allowed, though it seems to have its own algorithm to reduce the speed at somewhat random times. Yesterday on FSD, the legal speed limit was 55. The programmed speed limit was 64, and yet it was driving at only 1 mile an hour above the legal speed limit, even though there was no traffic impeding it and no hazards and no bad weather. So sometimes it's a little unclear why it picks the speeds it does. I was able to press the accelerator and get up to the pre-programmed maximum speed. This was on a 2-lane, actually it was a 4-lane road, but 2 lanes on the side I was on. Was not an interstate, but it was just a little odd that it wouldn't go up to the maximum programmed speed. And there was no good explanation for why it chose that. I do not have the automatic speed adjustment activated where the car picks its own speed. I had it programmed to go 7% above the legal speed limit. I set my charging limit to about 95. Another alert about the full self-driving may be degraded due to poor weather detected. But there's really no issue with visibility. There's a slight sprinkle at this point. There is a little bit of standing water in the road. Just an inch or less. You notice I'm keeping my hand pretty close since this is just the second drive with the new version of the software. And as you saw from the last drive, it's a little unpredictable at times. It's having a little bit of trouble finding the lane here. With the rain, it makes the stripes difficult to see, though there are reflectors. But it was kind of hugging the line, separating the middle lane from the left lane back there. Now it's more centered. There were no cars nearby, so there was no safety concern, but that again is something that it didn't seem to have a problem with in recent versions. I noticed this riding on the interstate yesterday, that sometimes it would not be centered in the lane. I'll call them back later since I'm driving. Rain's a little bit heavier now. Again, I have Rain-X on the window, so you really can't see very well how hard the rain is, which is a good benefit of Rain-X. little bit less than a mile from our right turn towards the neighborhood. Half a mile. Lane change for the right turn upcoming. There is a short right turn lane here. Sometimes there are trucks parked on the side of the road here. So it gives an appropriate amount of room around that one. And let's see how it does with the Barricade coming up shortly. And until it starts doing this routinely, I will of course have my foot hovering on the brake pedal. They put these stop signs up because so many people were coming to the resident gate without having the resident sticker and blocking up traffic. So this is to give room for people to back up. Okay, it was going to drive right into it again, it looks like. So I had to disengage. It was going to drive right into a barricade, so I had to hit the brakes. So just sent the report to Tesla. But it made no effort to slow down, and it was getting pretty close, so I couldn't wait much longer before hitting the brakes. So not only did it not stop for the barricade, it obviously was not slowing down for the gate that was just beyond the barricade. It did, at the last second, put on the brakes rather sharply coming out of the neighborhood with no barricade and just the gate. And when it stopped last time, it was possibly for the speed bump that was identified in front of the gate and not really for the gate itself. Hard to know, but there is no speed bump at the entrance. Therefore, really, it behaved as if it was blind to the barricade and to the gate. So that's it for this recording. We'll try that again with the next version, but no progress there.